Hi, I'm Laura. If you peeked into my life, you'd probably find me buried in code, working remotely from my cozy little apartment. It's just me, my laptop, and the comforting hum of my routine. I'm not one for crowds or big social scenes. But Anna, my best and only friend since college, she's the complete opposite. She's this whirlwind of energy, always surrounded by friends, and happily married to Tom, who's as chatty and friendly as they come. Every time we meet, Anna has this thing about pushing me to date. "Laura, you're not getting any younger," she'd say in her half-joking, half-serious tone. "You need someone in your life other than your computer." I'd usually brush it off with a laugh, not really taking her seriously. But one evening, as we were lounging at her place, she was more persistent than usual. "I've got the perfect guy for you," she announced, her eyes lighting up with excitement. "His name's Chris, a family friend. You two would be great together." I remember twirling my spoon in my coffee, feeling a mix of curiosity and apprehension. "Blind dates aren't really my style, Anna. They're always so awkward," I protested. Anna leaned in, her smile persuasive. "It's not a blind date, silly. We'll have dinner here, just the four of us. It'll be casual, no pressure." So, there I was, giving in to her plan. The night I met Chris at Anna's place, my stomach was a knot of nerves. But Chris, he was surprisingly easy to talk to. Kind of reserved, but with a genuine smile that made me feel more at ease. We all chatted in Anna's living room, the conversation flowing smoothly until Tom, out of the blue, brought up their struggles with fertility. "We're trying for a baby, but it's been hard," he said, and I could see the hope mixed with worry in his eyes. I nodded, feeling a bit out of my depth with such a personal topic. "I hope it works out for you guys," I said, and meant it. After that night, Chris and I started seeing each other. It wasn't like those dramatic love stories you read about. It was more comfortable. He was a good listener, and we shared a lot of the same interests. Before I even knew how it happened, we were dating. I remember thinking, as I fell asleep one night after one of our dates, that having someone else around isn't so bad. Not so bad at all. 6 months had flown by, and there I was, in a simple yet elegant white dress, saying "I do" to Chris. It felt surreal, standing there with him, Anna intently watching us, her belly now showing a growing life inside. Tom was beaming, taking photos like a man on a mission. The first months of our marriage felt like living in a dream. Chris was everything I'd hoped for in a partner, attentive, caring, always making me laugh with his subtle humor. We'd have these quiet evenings, just the two of us, and I cherished every moment. But as time passed, I noticed changes. Small at first, like Chris coming home late more often. "Work's been crazy," he'd say, kissing me on the forehead before heading to the shower. One evening, while Chris was working late again, I called Anna. "Hey, it's me. Chris has been really busy with work lately. Is this normal after getting married?" Anna's voice crackled through the phone. "Totally normal, Laura. Tom was like that too. Men and their work, you know?" I wanted to believe her, but something felt off. Chris was home less and less, and when he was, there was this distance, like he was there but not really with me. We stopped having those quiet evenings. It was like living with a ghost. One night when he came home late again, I couldn't hold it in anymore. "Chris, we need to talk. You've been so distant lately. Is everything okay?" He just shrugged, avoiding eye contact. "It's just work, Laura. You wouldn't understand. It's really busy right now." I lay in bed that night, staring at the ceiling, wondering if this was what marriage was supposed to be like. The silence in the house felt heavy, suffocating. I missed our talks, our laughs, the way he used to look at me. The next morning, I called Anna, hoping for some reassurance. "Anna, I don't know what to do. It's like Chris is a different person." "Laura, give it time. He's just adjusting to married life. It's a phase. It'll pass," Anna said. but her words didn't comfort me like they used to. I hung up, feeling more alone than ever. Was this just a phase, or was I losing the man I married? The uncertainty was the hardest part, like walking in the dark, not knowing where the path was leading. The more Chris stayed out late, the more the silence in our house seemed to echo with unanswered questions. "Working late again," he'd say, his excuses sounding more and more like a rehearsed script. I'd lie awake, staring at the ceiling, the unease growing inside me like a thorny vine. Desperate for some advice, I called Anna. I could hear the faint cries of her baby in the background. "Anna, I'm worried about Chris. He's always out late. It doesn't feel right," I said, my voice tinged with concern. Anna's response was quick, almost dismissive. "Oh, Laura, you're just being paranoid. I'm too busy with the baby to think about such things. Tom was the same when we first got married. It's normal," she said, the sound of her baby feeding interrupting our conversation. Her words did little to soothe me. If anything, they made me feel more alone, my concerns brushed off as mere paranoia. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. So, I decided to take a drastic step. Using my programming skills, I put together a small spyware program. I knew it was a violation of trust, but the need for truth overpowered my guilt. I installed it on Chris's phone, telling myself it was just to put my mind at ease. The first time I logged into the program, my heart pounded in my chest. The screen showed a map with Chris's location, a hotel in the city, nowhere near his office. As the days passed, the pattern became clear. Different hotels, always in the evenings. My stomach churned with each new revelation, but nothing prepared me for what I found next. The program allowed me to see his messages. I hesitated, knowing this was crossing a line, but I had to know. The chat window opened, and there it was, a stream of messages between Chris and someone else. Not just anyone, but Anna, my best friend. Their words were intimate, a stark contrast to the distant, almost formal way he spoke to me. I sat there, my whole body numb, as I read their plans, their laughter at my expense, the betrayal laid bare in pixels on my screen. The truth about my husband and my best friend, the two people I trusted most, was right in front of me, and it hit me with the force of a tidal wave. Chris married me in order to provide an alibi for himself. Now he can be near his mistress more often, hiding behind the fact that he is married to me. Unbelievable. We often don't see what's happening right under our noses, blinded by trust or maybe a refusal to acknowledge the possibility of betrayal. But there it was, in black and white. My world, as I knew it, had just crumbled. The nights became longer, each one stretching out like a dark, endless road as I sat alone, staring at my computer screen. The glow illuminated pages of messages between Chris and Anna, a window into a betrayal so deep it felt like drowning. Each message I read twisted the knife a little deeper. Chris's words about me were cruel and mocking. "Laura's so clueless. It's almost funny," he wrote in one message. And Anna, she laughed along, adding her own jabs. "Yeah, she's weirdly naive. It's like playing a game with a child." Their laughter at our expense wasn't the worst of it, though. They planned their secret rendezvous with a casualness that made my stomach churn. "How about the Hilton this Thursday?" Chris would suggest. "Perfect, can't wait," Anna would reply, as if they were planning a simple coffee meeting. But one message stopped me cold, a revelation that felt like a physical blow. It was Anna talking about her newborn, Tom's supposed child. "The best part is Tom thinks he's the father," she wrote with a twisted pride. Chris's reply was a heartless confirmation. "Our little secret. He's none the wiser." It wasn't just an affair. It was a double betrayal, the depth of which was unimaginable. The evidence of their deceit wasn't just in the messages on my screen. It was lying in a crib, gurgling and cooing, oblivious to the web of lies surrounding its existence. I sat there, numb, the reality sinking in. My husband, the man I had vowed to spend my life with, was not only unfaithful, but a father to my best friend's child. And Anna, the friend I had trusted with my deepest fears and happiest moments, was a willing participant in this cruel game. As the night wore on, the silence of the house enveloped me. It was no longer a home, but a stage for a tragedy I never saw coming. The betrayal was not just of the heart. It was a betrayal of every moment we had shared, every laugh, every secret. And at the center of it all was a child, an innocent life caught in the crossfire of selfish desires. I realized then that the most profound wounds are often inflicted by those closest to us. And the evidence of this betrayal was now lying innocently in a crib, a living reminder of the lies and deceit that had shattered my world. The morning after I discovered the truth about Chris and Anna, I felt like I was in a daze. My apartment, once a haven, now felt like a cage trapping me with my betrayal. I knew what I had to do. Tom deserved to know the truth as much as I did. I picked up my phone, my heart pounding. Dialing Tom's number felt like stepping off a cliff. "Tom, it's Laura. We need to talk. It's about Anna and Chris." Tom's usually cheerful voice was laced with concern. "Laura, what's going on? You sound serious." I took a deep breath, my voice shaky. "It's bad, Tom. Can we meet somewhere private? There's something you need to see." We met at a quiet cafe, away from the places where our lives had crossed. Tom looked anxious as he sat down. "Okay, Laura, what's this all about? You're scaring me." I pushed the printouts of the messages across the table to him. "Tom, I'm sorry to drop this on you, but Chris and Anna, they've been having an affair." Tom's face went pale as he read the messages. His usual jovial demeanor vanished, replaced by a mix of anger and disbelief. This is bullshit. Anna wouldn't. And Chris?" His voice was a mix of rage and pain. "There's more," I said, the words feeling like lead in my mouth. "The baby. Chris might be the father." Tom looked like he had been slapped. He slammed his hand on the table, drawing stares. "That son of a... How could they do this? My own wife? My baby?" I could see the hurt in his eyes, raw and unfiltered. "I'm so sorry, Tom. I thought you should know. You deserved the truth." Tom ran his hands through his hair, a gesture of frustration and disbelief. "I can't believe I've been such a fool. We need to do something, Laura. We can't let them get away with this." His words echoed my own thoughts. "I agree. We need a plan. They've been playing us for fools, and it's time they faced the consequences." As we talked, our plan began to take shape. It wasn't just about confronting them. It was about exposing their lies, making them feel a fraction of the pain they'd caused us. We left the cafe with a sense of purpose, a bond formed through shared betrayal. As I drove home, the reality of what I was about to do settled in. This wasn't just about confronting a cheating spouse. It was about revenge. And my revenge would be cold, much colder than an iceberg. The day of the confrontation felt like walking into a storm. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears as I drove to Anna's house with Chris. He was clueless, humming along to the radio, while my hands gripped the steering wheel, knuckles white. We walked into Anna's house, where Tom was already waiting. His face was a mask of calm, but his eyes were like flint. Anna greeted us, all smiles, unaware of the storm about to break. "Hey, everyone. So glad you could make it," Anna chirped, her voice grating on my nerves. Tom cut right to the chase. "I have something to share. A surprise." Anna's smile faltered. "A surprise? What kind of surprise?" Tom pulled out an envelope. "It's a DNA test. It says, 'I'm not the father of your baby, Anna.'" Anna's face drained of color. "What? Tom, why would you? That's ridiculous." Chris turned to me, confusion written all over his face. Laura, what's going on? I looked him straight in the eye, my voice steady. Why don't you tell us, Chris, about you and Anna? Anna's eyes darted between me and Tom, panic rising. Laura, I don't know what you're talking about. Tom slammed his hand on the table, his voice rising. Cut the crap, Anna. We know about the affair. We have the proof. Chris's face went from confused to pale. Laura, it's not what you think. I threw the printouts of their messages on the table. It's exactly what I think. How long, Chris? How long have you been lying to me? Anna started to cry, her sobs dramatic. It was a mistake. I'm so sorry. Tom's voice was like ice. Sorry doesn't cut it, Anna. You've ruined everything. The room was thick with tension, a tangle of lies and betrayal finally laid bare. Chris tried to reach out to me, but I pulled away. Don't touch me. You've betrayed me in the worst way. Anna was pleading now, looking at Tom. Please, Tom. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. But Tom was unmoved. Meaning doesn't change facts, Anna. It's over. I looked at Chris, my voice cold. We're done, Chris. I want a divorce. The confrontation was brutal, the air heavy with the weight of broken trust and shattered relationships. As I walked out of Anna's house, I knew there was no going back. The truth had been revealed, and with it, the end of the life I thought I knew. After the confrontation, the drive home was a blur. My mind was a whirlwind of emotions. Anger, betrayal, sadness. It wasn't just the affair. It was the depth of the deceit that cut the deepest. The next day, I called Chris, needing to hear him say it. Chris, we need to talk. You owe me that much. He agreed to meet, his voice resigned. We sat across from each other at our kitchen table, a battlefield of broken vows. Start talking, Chris. I want to hear you say it, I demanded, my voice steady despite the chaos inside me. Chris looked down, unable to meet my eyes. It started as just a fling. I didn't mean for it to go this far. A fling? You call destroying our marriage a fling? My voice rose, tinged with anger and hurt. I'm sorry, Laura. I never meant to hurt you, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. Sorry doesn't undo the lies, Chris. It doesn't change anything, I snapped back. There was a pause, heavy with unsaid words. What are you going to do? He finally asked. I want a divorce, and I'll be talking to a lawyer about compensation for this betrayal, I said, my resolve firm. Chris nodded, defeated. I understand. I'll cooperate. The conversation with Anna was even harder. I called her, my former best friend, now the source of my deepest pain. Anna, we need to talk, I said as soon as she picked up. Laura, I'm so sorry. I never wanted to hurt you. Anna's voice was shaky, filled with false remorse. Save it, Anna. How could you do this to me? To Tom? To your own family? I asked, my voice hard. I was selfish. I made a terrible mistake, she admitted. A mistake? You made a choice, Anna. And now you have to live with the consequences, I replied coldly. I know, and I'll do whatever it takes to make it right, she said, but her words felt empty. It's too late for that. Tom knows everything. You've lost him, and you've lost me, I said, hanging up before she could respond. The aftermath was messy. Lawyers were involved, divorce papers were filed, and settlements discussed. But through it all, I held my head high. I was hurt, yes, but not broken. I realized that sometimes the hardest betrayals come from those we trust the most. But they also teach us the most valuable lessons about strength and self-respect. As the chapter of my life with Chris and Anna closed, I knew that I was walking away with something invaluable, my dignity and the knowledge that I was stronger than I ever knew. The day I signed the final divorce papers, it felt like I was signing off on the most painful chapter of my life. In the lawyer's office, I couldn't help but reflect on the journey. You're doing great, Laura. Most wouldn't have handled it as well as you have, my lawyer said, offering a sympathetic smile as he handed me the documents. Yeah, well, when life kicks you down, you kick back harder, I replied, trying to sound tougher than I felt. Leaving the office, the reality of my new life hit me. I was no longer part of a we, but just me, Laura, on my own. It was scary, but also a chance for a fresh start. I met with Tom a few days later. We were like comrades who had survived the same war. How's life treating you, Tom? I asked as we grabbed coffee. Tom sighed, stirring his cup. It's rough, Laura. Every day's a challenge. But like you said, we kick back harder, right? Right. We rebuild, stronger and wiser, I said, feeling a sense of solidarity. We chatted more about moving forward, about not letting our past define us. It was a conversation tinged with sadness, but also hope. Driving home, I thought about Chris and Anna. Last I heard, they were together, but far from happy. Anna, used to a life of luxury, was now stuck in a cramped apartment, constantly at Chris's throat for the financial mess they were in. A neighbor told me how they were always fighting, their arguments loud enough for the whole block to hear. Police were there just last week, she had said, shaking her head in disapproval. It was ironic. They had betrayed us, thinking they'd find happiness with each other, but all they found was misery. Every scandal, every shout I imagined between them was a reminder that karma does its job. As I entered my apartment, the quiet was a balm to my soul. I was alone, yes, but at peace. I had weathered a storm I never saw coming and came out stronger. I gazed out of my window, the world outside oblivious to my struggles and triumphs. Here's to new beginnings, I whispered to myself, a small but determined smile on my lips. I turned from the window, feeling a sense of empowerment. The future was uncertain, but it was mine to shape. I had survived, I had learned, and now it was time to live.